On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I'm diving into Prince's only really bone-chilling track, and no, Bob George is too hilarious to qualify. The song is Others Here With Us. But before I get started, I would like to clarify the structure and order of my episodes for the foreseeable future. I've covered all of the unreleased and unearthed vault tracks for Prince's first 8 years, 1976 to 1984. Next, I want to cover vault tracks from the unreleased songs from the period of time covered in Dwayne Tudall's Parade and Sign of the Times era studio sessions 85-86. So Dwayne Tudall released that book a few years ago, and I have browsed it, but I have not gone through it front to back. So I would like to kind of frame my episodes moving forward based off of the chronology of the songs from that book, which just happens to coincide with the next era of unreleased songs that I would be doing naturally anyway after the Purple Rain songs were done. And then I did those songs from originals, which covered most of the 80s. So, anyway, songs in scope for this next batch of episodes have to be songs that have become available to us by any means necessary. So, that could mean bootleg copies of widely circulated but unofficially released songs, such as this episode's focus. Or it could include songs officially released on albums like the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe or even Crystal Ball from the 90s. Those all included songs recorded from this 85-86 period of time. What it will not include are Prince's versions of songs written for artists like The Family, Sheila E., Maserati, or any other artist unless these versions with Prince's vocals have found their way to my ears. Basically, the songs that were on originals. So I had covered Nothing Compares to You from The Family. I've already covered Screams of Passion, not because that was on originals, but because there is a version of the Screams of Passion that has become available with Prince's vocals on it. So I did cover that. Covered 4 Sheila E. songs from the originals, that many of them recorded during this time frame. So that includes Holly Rock, Dear Michelangelo. And then, of course, Maserati's 100 Miles Per Hour, which was also on originals, got covered. But all those other songs, all the rest of the songs that either made or didn't make those albums, Feline, for example, will not be included into this batch of episodes because Prince's version is not widely available. At least I have not heard those versions, nor can I find them. I will be going in chronological order based on the studio dates tracked in the book. So songs that the book has touched on already that I won't be covering include songs from Romance 1600 like Toy Box, Love Bazaar, Sister Fate, Bedtime Story, Romance 1600, and Yellow. Also, again, won't be doing Feline, won't be doing Rough, 2 family songs that ended up not being included on their one and only album. I'm also not going to be covering Maserati's Strawberry Lover, She's Just That Kind of Lady, and I Guess It's All Over. And also not doing Jill Jones's All Day All Night and My Man, which were also recorded during this time frame, so early 85. Now back to our originally scheduled programming. Others Here With Us was recorded in mid-April 1985, just a couple of days after recording a number of other Parade tracks. Wendy's Parade, which would eventually turn into Christopher Tracy's Parade. New Position, I Wonder You, and Under the Cherry Moon. Basically that first 4-song suite that kicks off the Parade album was recorded right before this. It was also recorded on the same day as instrumental versions of Evolves the Dog in Tibet. And according to Prince Vault, it was actually included on an early track listing for Parade in May of 1985. But this was before Under the Cherry Moon even began filming in September of that same year, which tells me the tone and context of the screenplay and film in which Parade would become the soundtrack to Under the Cherry Moon had no place for this dark, weird, spooky, unnerving song. It just didn't fit. And so, before the concept of the movie, Prince was probably just like, okay, well, here are the songs that I think could qualify for my next album, and then I'm going to write a movie, or I'm going to help co-write a movie around these songs. And that's just not what happened with this one. Others Here With Us, if you have not heard it, is just a bit too dark and strange. And I don't understand where it would even fit in the narrative of Under the Cherry Moon. Unless it was meant as like a jokey song where Prince is trying to scare someone. Christopher Tracy is trying to scare someone. I don't know. Prince is credited as the only performer on this song. It's a very simple sample and Fairlight instrument-heavy track. So, it's got synths, it's got drums. It's a pretty stark recording. There aren't many other embellishments until we get the Claire Fisher orchestral version, which was recorded a few months later in the summer of '85. Others Here With Us was ultimately voted on to be released as part of the planned but eventually scrapped Crystal Ball 2 in 2000. So it was going to see the light of day, but Crystal Ball 2 never was released. The song is overall pretty short, clocking in at a brief 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So there's not a lot of meat behind it. It comes in and comes out. Mostly lyrics, not a lot of instrumentation besides the intro. And even that is fairly short. So we get that opening intro with some sampled screams and cries. It's a spooky and unnerving way to start a track. This is not something we've really heard from Prince before. When I'm alone, my mind takes a drive through childhood religion and spirits alive. All I was brought up in this world to know is lost when a demon swallows them whole. There's others here with us, I know. Here Prince seems to be reflecting a bit on, I guess the inherent spooky nature of religion. He was brought up as Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventists believe Jesus will return to earth, which is also known as the Second Coming, a phrase Prince used during the controversy era. Spirits roaming the earth, waiting for judgment to determine if they will go to heaven or hell, which is, a concept that there is purgatory, or that some spirits, one that may be resting uneasily as they wait for this decision, for this judgment. The idea that demons also walk the earth, or at least influence the living to do evil things, also not unique to religion. I'm not specifically saying that these are Seventh-day Adventists' beliefs, but I think that a lot of religious people, and people who aren't religious as well, believe in ghosts, believe in spirits, the undead, that are just kind of floating around, for lack of a better term, in our world, not really knowing where to go. Because, the living body, the living vessel that contains the spirit is no longer here, but the spirit remains. And where does that spirit go? If you're religious, you believe in heaven or hell. And so if there's a purgatory, if there's a decision that needs to be made, where are these spirits in the meantime? And no, I don't believe it's like in Beetlejuice, where it's just like a waiting room. I don't necessarily, I'm not going to comment much on my beliefs. I don't necessarily think that it's appropriate here. I'm just, or even Prince's beliefs, that's even less appropriate because I can't speak for Prince. But the lyrics here at least give me an indication that he's talking about when he was brought up and the religion he was brought up in. They definitely talk about spirits, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. It's a part of Christianity. And that's what Seventh-day Adventists is. It's an offshoot of Christianity. And then this idea, if the demon mentions, all I was brought up in this world to know is lost when a demon swallows them whole. I guess what I get from this, if a person becomes possessed by a demon or, infected in a way by demonic spirits or demonic energy, everything is lost. All their religious teachings are for nothing. All of the ways that they were brought up are for nothing. They're lost to us as humans. Humanity is the humanity in them is lost. And unless they are able to expel those demons, that person will not be with them in heaven. At least that is what I believe is coming out of this verse here. And then the phrase ends, or the verse ends with what I guess is the chorus. There's others here with us. I know it's very simple, very straightforward. But again, I think what Prince is getting at here is he's referring to ghosts again. He's referring to spirits, the undead, whatever you want to call it. There's others here with us. There was a movie that was released, Nicole Kidman film from about 25 years ago, maybe, called The Others. And that's a ghost story. It's a haunted house ghost story. So, others is I think a common term used to describe otherworldly beings. Not humans, but still with us on Earth. Strange how your mind works when love is in power. One learns to care and appreciate a flower. What makes others want to change your mind? All the things I've seen, life is so sublime. Oh, there's others here with us, I know. So Prince here seems to be offering a counterpoint. So if you embrace love, your perspective is vastly different. There's a reference to flowers, and life is sublime, which sounds somewhat similar to a song off of Parade, Life Can Be So Nice. What makes others want to change your mind? Are these, again, others spirits? Is he referring to spirits when he says others here? That would make sense based off of what the term is being used in the title of the song and in the chorus. But others here could be just, again, people who are embracing evil or satanic energy, demonic energy. The others that want to change your mind, that life, it maybe isn't so sublime in their mind. Maybe they have too much negativity and they're trying to pass that on to the rest of the world. What makes others want to change your mind? Like if you're already feel like you have love in your life, when love is in power, it says, one learns to care and appreciate a flower. But what makes others want to change your mind? Like, why would somebody want to turn that positivity into something negative? Is it because they're negative? They're already feeling that negative energy and they want to infect you with it? Misery loves company, I guess, is a turn of phrase that could maybe apply here. Or just the idea that, if these are literal demons and descendants of Satan, then yeah, that the whole purpose of Satan is not just to punish those who have done, evil deeds in life, but to influence people in life to do evil deeds so they could become part of their satanic army. I don't... I'm getting a little deep into some of the religious philosophies that I'm not as well versed in. This isn't something that I consider myself an expert in. Religious dogma is not really my forte, so I may be talking out of turn here. But nonetheless, I grew up Catholic, and I have gone to enough services as an adult, whether it's Catholic or a Lutheran service. I've even been to some Baptist services in my adult life, but I'm not an expert, is basically what I'm trying to say. So take all this with a grain of salt. And if you do have any alternate opinions or alternate thoughts on the matter, please let me know. 7-month-old baby died in her sleep. The parents went crazy and cried for a week. They swore they heard her laugh in the crib by the wall. They're convinced she's with us, if she's anything at all. Oh, there's others here with us, I know. So this verse and the next verse are more Prince telling stories about, or relating to us anecdotes about people who have claimed they've seen or heard ghosts or spirits. There's death and despair that is described here in this verse with the story about the baby dying. It speaks a bit to how these, or the people who are experiencing immense grief can project maybe that grief onto external forces. The idea that their baby is still with them after death is comforting. It's not supposed to be terrifying. And in this example, often used as a coping mechanism for many who can't grasp and accept the idea that they will never see their loved ones again. I'm not saying it's exclusive to those who have experienced loss, great loss, where they start talking about examples of how supernatural forces seem to be present in their life in a way that they never were before. Is that true, or are they just looking for them now because they're looking for evidence of their loved one everywhere they go, because that loved one is so in the forefront of their minds that they just can't wrap their heads around that person not being there anymore. They're looking for them everywhere. I lost my mother a year ago, and I can't say I've personally seen or heard evidence that my mother is with me physically, like she's with me, emotionally and in my heart and in my mind, but I have not experienced anything supernatural, I should say. But my father, on the other hand, someone who has always been very pragmatic, he has related stories to me about things that have occurred since my mother passed that can be interpreted as being signs or evidence that my mother is still with us. And that's what this verse to me feels like. It's another example of that. And the next verse will as well. Bobby had an uncle who took a string and wrapped his neck around it, a pitiful thing. If only we can turn back the hands of time, except that he was here with us. Life is sublime. There's others here with us. Oh, there's others here with us, I know. All the things I've seen, there's others here with us, I know. So yeah, another example. This is someone that committed suicide in this example. He's still with us even after death, haunting the home that he died in. Which is the concept of many supernatural horror films. Someone that died due to trauma or, extenuating circumstances, unnatural causes. may stick around on Earth because their souls are uneasy. There's some sort of unfinished business, so the soul's uneasy. Example, like I cited with the Nicole Kidman film, The Others, or Unfinished Business, and a famous film that was made that covers the idea of unrested souls trying to communicate with the living because they have unfinished business here on Earth, would be Sixth Sense. Those that die young often are perceived to be uneasy because they did not live a full life. They were unable to enjoy what the gifts that life has for them because life was taken from them too soon, whether it was illness or injury, natural or unnatural. So in this case, suicide. So this person was clearly in life a troubled individual. And troubled individuals are, I guess, considered prime candidates for haunting experiences. Living in that, or existing in that middle ground, that purgatory, waiting for judgment. Like, you suffered in life, but you committed suicide, so if you believe in many of the different teachings of religion, those who commit suicide do not go to heaven, or at least they do not get the automatic pass that maybe some religious people feel they have, as long as they, quote unquote, make right with God before they die. That this person did not do that. They committed a sin, and they were unable to atone for their sins. They were unable to confess before death. So, this is an example of someone who a prince probably believed was, again, going to be a potential prime candidate for haunting the structure that they died in, or at least haunting the people that they loved in life. So I'm going to read a little bit of the passage from the Parade and Sign of the Times era studio sessions 85-86 from Dwayne Tudall regarding Others Here With Us from April 19th, 1985. Prince continued experimenting with the Fairlight and began recording Others Here With Us, which was, according to Peggy, as in Peggy McCreary, a very strange song. Indeed, the track was one of the more bizarre numbers he'd ever attempted. Using a thick drum beat for a foundation, Prince went wild with the Fairlight sampler, which was still a relatively new toy for him, including many of the samples and that embody the screams and the cries that you hear in the song. Near the end of the song, he also used a sample called Tibet. The result was haunting, eerie, and a layered track, far removed from the upbeat songs that had been so popular on his last album. There's also a comment that even after Others Here With Us was ultimately not included on the Parade track list, and of course was not included in Crystal Ball 2 from 2000, it was considered for a project that Prince called The Dawn, which was supposed to be more like a film with music, or like a musical, not like a musical per se, but maybe just like an extended music video, kind of like what Graffiti Bridge ended up being. And that's possibly why he continued to work on it and had Claire Fisher add the strings to it as well, because he just had grander ambitions for it in this musical. Although Claire Fisher strings were added to a lot of Parade songs too, but so either way, whether it was still being looked at as for a Parade inclusion or this the Dawn project, either or, it didn't end up on anything, so it remains unreleased. I did upload a version of the song to YouTube, so I will point you in the direction of my YouTube channel to listen to the song. But yeah, that is Others Here With Us. A very haunting song, haunting track, I think is the best way to describe it, and certainly an interesting footnote in Prince's vault history. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net. On social media, just check out any of the various social media platforms. I'm on just about all of them, maybe not literally, but on a lot of them at least. So find the show, share the show, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, thank you very much, and goodbye.